Welcome back to the channel, guys. And I gotta tell you, there's two main things I don't like about this car. The main thing being the brakes. The brakes in this car, they work, and actually this car stops better than my C7, stock for stock. But there's just no feel, there's no feedback, and that part really sucks about this car. That I can't change, I can't fix. I don't think there's going to be any fix for that anytime soon, or possibly even ever for this generation of Corvette. But one thing I don't like, but I can at least try to change or at least try to fix, is the steering wheel. My biggest gripe with this is really just the shape, man. This is just a really odd shape. It's just really dumb that they did this. It is wider on top than it is at the bottom. So it's not even like a squirgle. I don't even know what you would call this. People call it a squirgle, but whatever, you know. I think a lot of steering wheels do have a flat bottom, okay, and that's fine. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. Holding the steering wheel here is fine, you know. So it's really just mostly this upper shape. I would rather not have all these buttons, but you know, that's not something you're going to be able to change. I also don't like this little chrome accent. So really what I set out to do is to change the things that I can, or I think I can change easily, okay, which is this chrome accent. Okay, I was thinking about a way of doing this, maybe vinyl or something like that, but I'm not going to mess with this right now. But my main thing is really to change this upper shape. So that's exactly what I set out to change, and I think I've accomplished the goal. Check this out. So obviously, as you could tell, you know, we have now a round top. The rest of the steering wheel is basically the same shape as stock, slightly changed as far as sizes and stuff like that. The goal really was to try to keep this rounder, because as I pointed out, the stock steering wheel is actually quite short. So it's difficult to make the stock steering wheel, which this is based out of, you know, more round without it making look weird. The ones that I've seen online make this upper loop quite tall, and I think that it ends up being really weird. So I work with a local buddy of mine from Exotic Solutions. Okay, he doesn't do the steering wheels himself. He has a vendor. Okay, but I'll leave his contact down in the description. His name is Devin. Hit him up. Really nice guy. I've known him for a long time. Old school Evo guy. I've built one of his Evos back in the day, and you know, we go way back. But anyways, so yeah, we work with the vendor to, you know, really get this to the way I really wanted. But a lot of back and forth and stuff like that, and I was very adamant that I wanted it, you know, in this shape, as round as possible, and I also didn't want it to be bigger or taller than the factory, you know, wheel. You know what I mean? So now one caveat with this is this may obstruct the view of the gauge cluster a little bit, and that's something that, you know, we're gonna see here in a little while. Once I install it, I'll show you guys. We'll go for a POV drive, and you know, we'll get to see that. And now, in order to get rid of the chrome trim, I went with the EOS little replacement vessels. Okay, so that replaces that. You know, these just have this carbon, I think it's just on the carbon overlay. I saw Brandon put these on a recent video that he did on another steering wheel. He did like a suede steering wheel. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, carbon, you know, top and bottom. I think that's gonna be a nice touch. I also did the orange. I was hoping that this would match the car a little bit better. It doesn't really match. I think it's more like a Lambo type of orange. But anyways, I think from the inside it's not going to be that noticeable. Nice touch that I wanted to add. So yeah, very excited. Oh yeah, the stitching, I kept the silver stitching. My car is a base car, so it has just the base, you know, silver stitching. So anyways, enough yapping. Let me throw it on. Super excited about this. I think this came out freaking amazing, man. I am so happy with the way this is. I already drove it a little bit here and there, and it's just the way it should have been. Seriously. It feels so much better. The car just feels way more normal. You know, I just doesn't make sense why they made that square thing. You know what I mean? The argument about the screen and all that stuff. I can see the whole screen. I don't know if you guys can see it in camera, but I can see the whole screen. Yes, I did lose. You don't see like the upper edges of these little vessels here. Okay. You know, there's that. But honestly, I think, yeah, I would have taken it this way anyways. So Let's go for a quick drive. Again, the magnetic paddles, a bit too gimmicky on the street. Yeah, I think on the street is a bit much. A friend of mine suggested that you can put like a little plastic or something like that in between the magnets. So I may consider that. But it's not like I use the paddles a ton on the street anyways, you know what I mean? This feels normal. You can hold the wheel up here. You know, the carbon fiber and the leather, and, you know, that's all like personal preference, right? So you could do, you know, whatever you want with that, you know? Like my friend Josh said, oh, I like my steering wheel better because of the Alcantara. You could do this in Alcantara too. You know, like there's no, you know, I just did it this way just because, you know, I wanted the car to feel a little bit more premium, you know what I mean? Since I sacrificed in getting a base because, you know, for me it's mostly a track car. But, you know, I do like it to be nice, you know what I mean? This is my nice car. So, you know, I think this adds to the niceness of the car, you know what I mean? And I think it ties in with the having covered these silver trim pieces, you know, over here and stuff like that. I don't think that I'm gonna cover these because these may look too much like stick-on stuff. I am very happy though that I did get these vessels. I had originally ordered, and I have the Jogon, like the same company that does these, in the covers for this. But luckily, I ended up ordering this with the 3 buttons. My car, you know, only has the 2 buttons here. So this actually didn't end up working. So I was like, well, shit, now what? So then I ended up, you know, watching Brandon's video where he did his steering wheel with suede and stuff like that. And I didn't know that EOS made these vessels, and I'm very happy because it doesn't add a lot of carbon fiber. I think now thinking back, this would have been too much carbon fiber. So I think this just added the right amount. It's just a little touch here, and it looks great with this. It matches, all this matches. So I'm very, very happy with all that. I can just let the steering wheel slide, man. It's just it's so much better. It's a total game changer. Oh, I still have this in quiet mode. You can hold the steering wheel, you know, up here if you want, down here if you want. It's just way more comfortable. You could do the gangster if you want. Depending on how you have the steering wheel and how close you have it to you, or how far you have it to you. If you have it way, way low, then yeah, you can lose a little bit of the screen there for sure. But I wouldn't have it that low anyways for myself. Right there, I am just clipping just the corners, the upper corners here, just losing a little bit of that, but there's really nothing there that I need to see. So all the information that I actually need to see, I see just fine. You know, I see the whole cluster just fine. Yeah, let me put this into track and see what it looks like in track. Put it in manual because it's gonna be too loud. Or yeah, no, even in track, I see the whole screen. You know, at least all the information in the screen. So like what I lose of the screen, there's really nothing there. So yeah, it seems to me that the only negative for this, it would be is you lose a little bit of this. You can't see these two, like this from here up, you can't see. Same thing on this side. Not really sure what's up here. You know, maybe it's a check engine light, and I guess it's good that it's up there, right? Yeah, the paddles feel way better. The feel is way better. I'm not too much into the sound, but the feel is way better. So I'm gonna look into what my buddy said about adding like a plastic film, like a little plastic in between the magnets, make it less clicky. If you kind of pull it a little light, it's a little bit better, but it's still very clicky. On the track, you really don't hear it, but you do feel it. So that's really what the main purpose of it was. Now these are also carbon, but it's like a dry carbon. I don't know if you guys can see it there. I'm kind of glad that it is like that because it does make it a little bit more tactile. I think with the gloss, it would have been a little bit more slippery, I guess. So yeah, even though it doesn't match, it does match the look, but it doesn't actually match the sheen. So another thing that I really like is the leather. So with the seat, when I change the seat, even though this is, you know, like it's a race seat, the leather is actually nicer than the stock base seat leather. And now this steering wheel leather matches the quality of the seat leather. So, you know, everything that I'm touching all the time, you know, now has this really nice quality leather feel to it. And the carbon fiber, you know, also feels nice, you know what I mean? I like it, and you know, you don't constantly have your hands here. So like, even though this is shiny, you know, this is not like something that you're, you know, have your hands all the time. At least not me. I have my hands mostly, you know, here on the sides, you know, call it 3 and 9 type location, you know. But this part right here, like, you know, just making quick turns, parking lots and stuff, way better with the round wheel. What else can I say, guys? Yeah, I'm very happy with this. I am so glad that I did this. This is one, like, when I bought the car, I told myself, man, I have to change the steering wheel somehow, some way. I gotta get this to have a normal steering wheel, and I mean, I'm super happy with this. I think I completely accomplished the goal. Again, I'm gonna leave my boy Devin's information down in the description. Yeah, hit him up, tell him, you know, that you want the same wheel that Clinton has, or show him this video or whatever, you know what I mean? And, you know, again, you can get this in any way you want. You know, you want it all leather, all Alcantara, whatever, you know, dry carbon, you know what I mean? You can kind of pick all that. So that's also a really nice part about it. I know that there's tons of people out there doing steering wheels and stuff like that. And I've had steering wheels done by other companies for some of my other cars in the past, you know what I mean? But it was very important that the shape, you know, was just right. And I think we accomplished the goal here. I'm super happy with this. It it's a game changer for me. And it's one of those things that is just about feel. Maybe it's not for you, but for me, it's just something that I had to do, you know what I mean? And again, it adds a little bit of niceness to the car. A couple of people have seen it and they're like, oh, that steering wheel looks really cool. And then after a little bit, it kind of hits them. They're like, wait, that's not a square steering wheel. What did you do here? I took the car to the dealership because I'm having problems with my reverse camera. And they were all freaking out. They were like, oh my God, this is freaking amazing. That steering wheel is so stupid. Everybody that's seen this, except Josh. Josh wasn't excited about it. He was like, oh, I think my Alcantara wheel is better, you know. But everybody else that's seen it, my wife, my kids, everybody's like, oh my God, this is so much better than the stock one. And it really is, you know what I mean? So super happy about this. I think the C8, I think GM totally made a mistake with the square steering wheel. And you know, at least now you know you can change it. You can make your steering wheel be normal, you know. Oh, and the other thing that I forgot to mention is I kept my stock steering wheel. Okay, so that is not the cheapest way to do it. But I figured this way, you know what I mean? Like I could, if I ever sold a car or whatever, like I could just put the stock wheel back on, and there wouldn't be any question about, you know what I mean, the stock wheel or whatever. Or like if I ever, you know, I don't know, upgraded it, you know what I mean, if I got a Z07 car or if I got a Z01 or something like that, I can take the steering wheel, put it in the next car too. You know what I mean? So that was another reason why I wanted to keep the stock steering wheel. The price difference wasn't that great, and it was just easier logistically with the vendor. You know what I mean? He already had a core and everything like that. But you can, and then there was also no downtime. I didn't have to wait because this took a while. Okay, this is not a normal thing. If you wanted just a square one, then you know they can bang that out pretty quick. But because this wasn't a normal thing, this took a good bit, 5 weeks or so. You know what I mean? So because I also didn't need a core, he had a core, then there was no downtime. You know what I mean? This just showed up in the mail. I just swapped it and I put my original steering wheel in the box, and it goes in my storage unit. You know what I mean? So, all right, guys. Well, that's gonna be it for the video. Happy New Year, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.